In the small village of Umoji, where the red soil stretched far beyond the eyes could see, there lived a boy named Emeka Obi. He was 16 years old, tall for his age, with strong hands from years of farming with his father. Emeka was not rich. His family lived in a small mud house with a zinc roof that leaked when the rains came hard. But Emeka had something that money could not buy, a kind heart and a head full of dreams. Every morning, before the sun fully rose, Emeka would wake up to fetch water from the stream that ran behind the village. It was on one of these mornings, with the mist still hanging low over the bushes, that he first saw her. Her name was Adiz Nwosu, but everyone called her Ada. She was the daughter of Chief Nwosu, one of the wealthiest men in Umuoji. Ada was 14 years old then, with soft eyes and a laugh that could be heard from one end of the stream to the other. She was fetching water too, though her family had servants who could do that for her. But Ada liked to come to the stream herself, because she loved the quiet of the early morning and the sound of birds singing in the trees. That morning, as Emeka bent down to fill his bucket, his foot slipped on a wet stone. He fell into the stream with a loud splash, and his bucket rolled away into the water. Ada could not hold her laughter. She laughed so hard that she had to sit down on a rock, holding her stomach. Emeka, soaked from head to toe, looked up at her with an embarrassed smile. But instead of feeling angry, he found himself laughing too. From that day, something changed between them. They began to talk every morning at the stream. Slowly, days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Before we go deeper into this story, take a second and hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and let us know where you're watching from. I'm curious to know how far these stories travel. As the years passed, Emeka and Ada grew closer. By the time Emeka was 19 and Ada was 17, their friendship had turned into something deeper, something that made Emeka's heart beat faster whenever he saw Ada walking toward him, and something that made Ada smile at her own reflection whenever she thought about him. But Umoji was a village with strong traditions, and one of those traditions was that the rich did not mix freely with the poor, not in marriage, at least. Chief Nwosu was a man known for his wealth, his many cars, and his big compound with high walls. Emeka's father, Pa Obi, was a farmer who struggled to put food on the table for his 5 children. Emeka knew this difference between their families. Sometimes, late at night, as he lay on his thin mat looking up at the leaking roof, he would wonder if loving Ada was a mistake. He would ask himself, what can a poor farmer's son offer to the daughter of a chief? But love does not always listen to reason. The heart does not check a person's bank account before it begins to beat faster for them. One evening, under the big mango tree behind Ada's family compound, a place they had chosen because it was hidden from prying eyes, Emeka finally found the courage to speak his heart. Ada, he said, his voice shaking slightly, I know I am not rich. I know your father is a great man, and I am just a farmer's son. But I love you. I have loved you since the day you laughed at me falling into the stream. I will work hard. I will make something of myself. I promise you, one day, I will be a man your father will be proud to call his son-in-law. Ada looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes were shining, but not with laughter this time, with tears. She placed her hand on his. Emeka, she said softly, I don't care about money. I care about you. Your heart is the richest thing I have ever known. I will wait for you, no matter how long it takes. That night, under the mango tree, with fireflies dancing around them like tiny stars that had fallen from the sky, Emeka and Ada made a promise to each other, a promise that no matter what life brought their way, they would find a way back to each other. But promises made under mango trees, in the innocence of youth, do not always survive when they meet the harsh winds of the real world. Word began to spread around the village about Emeka and Ada's friendship. At first, people simply gossiped about it, calling it a puppy love that would fade with time. But Chief Nwosu was not a man who took such gossip lightly. He summoned Ada to his obi, the large meeting room where he received visitors and discussed important family matters. Ada, My daughter, Chief Nosu began, his voice calm but firm, I have heard things. Things about you and the son of Pa Obi. Tell me, is it true? Ada's heart raced. She knew her father's temper, and she knew how much he valued the family's reputation. But she also knew that lying to her father was not in her nature. Papa, she said carefully, Emeka is my friend. We grew up together. There is nothing wrong in friendship. Chief Nosu studied his daughter's face for a long time. He was not a foolish man. He could see something deeper in his daughter's eyes than mere friendship. Ada, he said slowly, I built this family's name with my sweat and blood. I did not climb from nothing to something so that my daughter would throw away everything by marrying a poor man's son. You are destined for greater things. Do you understand me? Ada lowered her head. Yes, Papa, she whispered, though her heart screamed something else entirely. That night, as Ada lay on her soft bed in her father's big house, she cried silently into her pillow. She thought about Emeka, about the promise they made under the mango tree, and she wondered, for the first time, if love would really be enough to overcome everything standing between them. Far away, in his small room with the leaking roof, Emeka had no idea that the storm clouds were already gathering over their love story. He simply lay awake, smiling to himself, thinking about Ada's laughter, and dreaming about the future they would build together. Little did he know, that future would be tested in ways neither of them could imagine. The days after Chief Nwosu's warning were different for Ada. She began to notice small changes. Her father started sending her on errands that kept her busy from morning till night. She was enrolled in extra lessons with a private tutor, supposedly to prepare her for university. Her movements were watched more closely by the house servants, who, Ada suspected, had been instructed to report her activities back to her father. Emeka noticed the change too. Ada stopped coming to the stream as often. When they did meet, their conversations were shorter, filled with nervous glances over their shoulders. Emeka could feel something was wrong, but Ada, not wanting to worry him, kept the truth from him for as long as she could. But one cannot hide pain forever from someone who truly loves them. One afternoon, as the rain poured heavily and most of the villagers stayed indoors, Emeka found Ada sitting alone under the same mango tree, soaked from the rain, her shoulders shaking. He ran to her, sat beside her, and without a word, wrapped his arms around her. Ada, talk to me. What is wrong? Through her tears, Ada told him everything, her father's warning, the watchful eyes, the fear that their love would never be allowed to grow. Emeka held her tighter. Ada, listen to me, he said firmly. I cannot change who my father is. I cannot change the family I was born into. But I can change my own future. Give me time. Let me go to the city. Let me work hard, save money, learn a trade. When I come back, I will be a man your father cannot look down on. I promise you, Ada, I will come back for you. If you were in Ada's shoes, watching the boy you love prepare to leave for the city while your father plans a different future for you, what would you do? Share your thoughts in the comments, I read every single one. Ada looked into Emeka's eyes. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to hold on to hope. But deep inside, a small voice whispered to her, a voice she tried hard to ignore, that the world was bigger and crueler than two young hearts could fully understand. Promise me you won't forget me, Ada said, her voice breaking. I could never forget you, Ada. Not in this life, not in any life, Emeka replied, holding her face gently in his hands. 2 weeks later, Emeka packed the little he owned into an old raffia bag, 2 shirts, a pair of trousers, his father's old wristwatch that no longer worked but that he kept for sentimental reasons, and a small photograph of Ada that she had given him, taken during a village festival the previous year. His father, Pa Obi, though sad to see his son leave, understood. Lagos is a hard place, my son, he said, placing his weathered hand on Emeka's shoulder. But it is also a place of opportunity for those who are willing to work hard and stay focused. Do not let the city change who you are. Remember where you came from. I will not forget, Papa, Emeka said, fighting back tears. I will work hard, and one day, I will come back and build a proper house for you and Mama. I will make this family proud. On the morning of his departure, Emeka went to say goodbye to Ada, but he could not go to her house, for fear of being seen. Instead, they met one last time at their secret spot by the stream where their love story had begun years ago. The morning mist was thick, just like the day they first met. Ada had brought a small leather pouch with some money she had saved from her allowance over the years. Take this, she said, pressing it into his hands. It's not much, but it will help you when you get to Lagos. Emeka tried to refuse, but Ada insisted. Please, Emeka. Let me do this for you. It's the least I can do. He finally accepted, his heart heavy with gratitude and love. They stood there for a long moment, neither wanting to be the first to say goodbye. I will write to you, Emeka said. Every month, I will send a letter through Motsi Is, the man who travels between Lagos and Umoji for his trading business. He can deliver it to you discreetly. Ada nodded, tears streaming down her face. I will be waiting, Emeka. No matter how long it takes. They embraced one last time, holding each other as if trying to memorize the feeling, the warmth, the heartbeat, the scent of each other, to carry with them through the months and years that lay ahead. As Emeka walked away toward the bus park at the edge of the village, he turned back one final time. Ada stood by the stream, watching him go, her hand raised in a slow, sad wave. Neither of them knew it then, but that morning by the stream would be the last time they would see each other for the next 4 years. The journey to Lagos was long and uncomfortable. Emeka sat squeezed between a woman carrying a sack of yams and an old man who snored loudly throughout the trip. As the bus bounced over potholes and the landscape changed from green farmlands to grey, crowded city streets, Emeka clutched Ada's photograph tightly, repeating her words to himself like a prayer. I will be waiting, Emeka. No matter how long it takes. When he finally arrived in Lagos, the noise and chaos overwhelmed him. Car horns blared endlessly. People rushed past each other without making eye contact. Tall buildings stood where Emeka expected open skies. For a moment, standing in the middle of Oshodi Market with his small bag on his shoulder, Emeka felt completely lost. But he remembered his father's words. Do not let the city change who you are. With determination, Emeka found his way to the address his cousin, Chibik, had given him, a small room in Ajigonal that Chibik shared with 3 other young men, all of them hustling to survive in the city. That night, lying on the floor of the cramped room, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of generator engines and distant music, Emeka pulled out Ada's photograph and stared at it. I will keep my promise, Ada, he whispered into the darkness. I will come back for you. The city was a beast that swallowed dreams whole if you were not careful, and spat out only the strongest, most determined souls. For the first few months, Emeka worked as an apprentice to a mechanic named Oga Suleiman, fixing cars in a workshop along the busy Opopo Expressway. The work was hard, long hours under the hot sun, hands constantly stained with engine oil, and pay that was barely enough to cover his share of the rent in Chibik's crowded room. But Emeka did not complain. Every evening, after work, he would walk to a small kiosk where an old woman named Momarisi sold roasted corn and pear. He would buy one corn, sometimes shared with Chibik, and sit by the roadside, watching the cars go by, thinking about Ada and Emoji. He kept his promise to write. Every month, he wrote a letter to Ada, telling her about his life in Lagos, the good and the bad, his small victories and his struggles. He gave the letters to Motsi Is, the trader who traveled between Lagos and Umoji, trusting him to deliver them secretly to Ada. And every month, Ada wrote back, letters filled with news from the village, words of encouragement, and reminders of her unwavering love. Emeka, one of her letters read, Lagos may be far, but you are never far from my heart. I think of you every morning when I go to the stream. The mango tree still stands tall, waiting for the day we will sit beneath it again, this time, with no fear, no secrets. Stay strong, my love. I am proud of you. These letters became Emeka's lifeline, the fuel that kept his determination burning even on the hardest days. Before we continue, take a second and share your thoughts so far on this story below. I read every single one. Have you ever had to leave the people you love behind to chase a better future? 2 years passed. Emeka had become skilled at his trade, and Oga Suleiman, impressed by his diligence and honesty, began giving him more responsibilities and a better salary. Emeka started saving aggressively, sending small amounts of money back to his parents in emoji whenever he could, but keeping the rest hidden away in a small metal box under his mattress, a fund he called his Ada fund, money he was saving toward the day he would return to Umoji and properly ask for Ada's hand in marriage. By the 3rd year, Emeka had saved enough to open his own small workshop, a modest space he rented along a quieter street in Mushin. Business was slow at first, but Emeka's reputation for honest, quality work began to spread. Soon, customers were coming not just from Mushin, but from neighboring areas too. Emeka worked tirelessly. He often slept in the workshop itself to save on rent, waking up before dawn to clean and prepare for the day's work. His hands grew rougher, his shoulders broader, and his mind sharper with every passing month. The boy who had left Umoji 4 years ago with nothing but a raffia bag and a photograph had become a man building something for himself, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. But while Emeka built his future in Lagos, the situation back in Umoji was changing in ways that would soon shake the foundation of everything he had been working toward. Chief Nwosu's business empire had grown significantly over the years. He now owned not just farmland, but also a transportation company and shares in a cement factory in the nearby town. With this growth came new social circles, new business partners, and new expectations for his only daughter. Ada, now 21 years old, had finished her studies at the State Polytechnic and returned to Umoji. She was more beautiful than ever, tall, graceful, with an intelligence and warmth that drew people to her naturally. Many suitors had come knocking at Chief Nwosu's door, hoping to win the hand of his daughter, but Ada had politely declined every single one, citing her studies, her work helping manage her father's businesses, anything to buy herself more time. Time, she hoped, until Emeka returned. But Chief Nwosu's patience was wearing thin. At a business dinner in the nearby town of Onitsha, Chief Nwosu was introduced to a man named Chief Okonkwo Ifoni, a wealthy businessman in his late 30s, recently widowed, with a thriving import-export business and political connections that stretched all the way to the state government. Chief Okonkwo took an immediate interest in Ada, whom he had met briefly at the dinner when she accompanied her father. Within weeks, Chief Okonkwo formally approached Chief Nwosu, expressing his desire to marry Ada. For Chief Nwosu, this was an opportunity too significant to pass up. A marriage alliance with Chief Okonkwo would not only secure his daughter's future financially but would also open doors for his businesses that years of hard work alone could not achieve. That evening, Chief Nwosu called Ada into his obi once again, the same room where, years ago, he had first warned her about Emeka. "Ada, my daughter," he began, his voice carrying both pride and finality, "Chief Okonkwo Ifoni has asked for your hand in marriage. This is a great honor for you, for this family, for everything I have built. The traditional marriage rites will take place in 3 months." Ada felt as though the ground had opened beneath her feet. "Papa," she said, her voice trembling, I don't even know this man. Please, Papa, can we not discuss this further? I need more time." "Time?" Chief Nwosu's voice rose sharply. "Ada, you are 21 years old. Most of your friends are already married with children. I have given you all the time a father can reasonably give. This decision has been made. Chief Okonkwo is a good man, respectable, wealthy, well-connected. You will lack nothing as his wife." Ada wanted to scream, to tell her father about Emeka, about the promise made under the mango tree, about the man who had spent 4 years working tirelessly in Lagos with the hope of one day coming back to marry her. But she knew, looking at her father's resolute face, that none of it would matter to him. That night, Ada sat in her room, staring at a small wooden box hidden under her bed, the box where she kept every letter Emeka had ever sent her. She took out the most recent one, dated just 2 months prior. Ada, the letter read, "My workshop is doing well. I have started saving for our future. I cannot say exactly when, but soon, very soon, I will return to Umoji. I will come to your father, and this time, I will not come empty-handed. I love you, Ada. Hold on a little longer." Tears blurred Ada's vision as she read the words over and over. Soon, Emeka had written. But Chief Nwosu had given her only 3 months, and Ada knew, with growing dread, that soon might not be soon enough. The news of Ada's impending marriage to Chief Okonkwo spread through Umuoji like wildfire. Within days, the entire village was buzzing with excitement, for everyone, it seemed, except Ada herself. Motsi is, the trader who had faithfully carried letters between Emeka and Ada for 4 years, happened to be in Umoji when the announcement was made. He had grown fond of the 2 young lovers over the years, often staying a little longer than necessary in the village just to hear updates from Ada about Emeka, and vice versa when he traveled to Lagos. When Motsi is heard about the marriage arrangement, his heart sank. He knew he had to get word to Emeka, and fast. But Motsi Isa's trading schedule meant he would not be returning to Lagos for another 2 weeks. 2 weeks, in the timeline of Chief Nwosu's plans, was a significant amount of time. The traditional marriage rites were scheduled to take place in exactly 7 weeks. Desperate, Ada found a moment alone with Motsi Is near the village market. "Please," she begged, pressing a folded letter and some money into his hands, "you must get this to Emeka as soon as possible. Please, Motsi Is. This is the only hope I have left." Motsi Is, seeing the desperation in Ada's eyes, nodded solemnly. "I will leave for Lagos tomorrow, even though my business here is not finished. I promise you, Ada, I will deliver this letter myself." If you were Motsi Is in that moment, holding the power to change 2 people's destinies with a single letter, how far would you go to help them? Tell me in the comments, I want to know what you would do. True to his word, Motsi Is set out for Lagos the very next morning, leaving his unfinished business in Umuoji behind. The journey took 2 days due to a breakdown along the way, but he finally arrived at Emeka's workshop in Mushin on a Thursday evening, just as Emeka was closing up for the day. "Motsi Is," Emeka exclaimed, surprised to see the trader so soon after his last visit. "This is unexpected. Is everything well? Is Ada?" "Read this," Motsi Is said urgently, handing over the folded letter, his expression grim. Emeka's hands trembled slightly as he unfolded the paper. The letter was shorter than Ada's usual letters, written in a rush, the handwriting less neat than usual, a clear sign of the panic and urgency with which it had been written. "Emeka," the letter read, "my father has arranged my marriage to a wealthy businessman named Chief Okonkwo Ifani. The traditional rites are set to take place in 7 weeks. I have tried everything, pleading, reasoning, but my father will not change his mind. Emeka, I love you, and I have waited for you faithfully for 4 years. But I cannot fight this alone. If there is anything you can do, please, do it now. Time is running out. Ada." Emeka read the letter twice, then a 3rd time, as if hoping the words would somehow change. His heart pounded in his chest, a mixture of panic, anger, and overwhelming love rushing through him all at once. 7 weeks, he muttered. 7 weeks to make myself into a man Chief Nwosu cannot refuse. That night, Emeka sat with Shibik and Motsi Is, counting every naira he had saved over the past 4 years. The total came to a significant sum, enough, perhaps, to open a slightly larger workshop, but nowhere near enough to compete with the wealth of a man like Chief Okonkwo, nor enough to immediately impress a man like Chief Nwosu with traditional marriage requirements that often included substantial bride price and gifts for the entire extended family. "I have to go back to Umoji," Emeka said finally, his voice firm with determination. "I have to speak to Chief Nwosu myself. Maybe if he sees how much I love Ada, how hard I have worked." "Emeka," Chibik interrupted gently, "be realistic. A man like Chief Nwosu does not make decisions based on love. He has already given his word to Chief Okonkwo. Going back now, without sufficient wealth to match what Chief Okonkwo offers, might only embarrass you and Ada." Emeka knew Chibik was right, but his heart refused to accept defeat. "Then what do you suggest, Chibik?" "That I simply give up. That I let Ada marry another man while I sit here in Lagos, doing nothing." The room fell silent. Motsi Is, who had been quiet throughout the conversation, finally spoke. "Emeka, there might be another way. It is risky, and it requires courage, perhaps more courage than even returning to Umoji." "What is it?" Emeka asked, leaning forward. "Elopement," Motsi Is said simply. "If Ada is willing, you could take her away, somewhere far from Umoji, somewhere Chief Nwosu's influence cannot easily reach. Start a new life together, away from all this pressure and tradition." Emeka considered this for a long moment. Elopement was not unheard of in their culture, but it came with severe consequences. Families could be torn apart permanently, reputations destroyed, and in some cases, depending on how deeply rooted the families were in tradition, reconciliation could take years, if it happened at all. But what choice did he have? "I need to speak to Ada directly," Emeka said finally. "This decision, it cannot be mine alone. It has to be hers too." The next morning, Motsi Is began his journey back to Umoji, this time carrying Emeka's response, a letter that would change the course of both their lives. "Ada," Emeka wrote, "I am coming to Umoji. Not to your father's compound, that path, I fear, may be close to us now. But to you. Meet me at our stream, at our spot, 3 nights from when you receive this letter, at midnight. Come prepared to leave everything behind except what truly matters. I love you, Ada. If you are willing, we will build our future together, even if it means starting from nothing, far away from everything we have ever known. The choice is yours, my love. I will be there, waiting."